Hi, everybody. This here's the Magic Treehouse Series number 9, Dolphins at Daybreak. We're on Chapter 9, and this chapter is called Ouch. The sun shone on the ocean. It sparkled like a diamond. Jack felt safe now as Dolphin was taking good care of him. The dolphins slowed down as they neared the reef. Jack lowered his feet. He felt the bumpy coral, and he let go of the dolphin's fin and stood up in the water. Annie stood up too. Then she threw her arms around her dolphin and gave a big hug. "Thank you, Suki," she cried, and she kissed the dolphin's nose. Suki tossed her head and clicked at Annie. "Kiss Sam now," Annie said to Jack. "You're nuts," said Jack, but Sam nuzzled Jack's hand. Then he put his flippers around Jack's neck. Jack couldn't resist. He threw his arms around the dolphin and gave him a quick kiss. Sam nodded and made the clicking sounds just like laughter. Then he turned to Suki. The two dolphins chattered to each other for a moment. They nodded at Jack and Annie and swam gracefully away. "Bye, Suki. Bye, Sam," shouted Ann. "Thanks," Jack shouted. The dolphins kept high into the air, and then they dove back into the water with a splash. Jack and Annie laughed. "I wish we could swim like that," said Jack. Jack and Annie watched the dolphins until they disappeared. "I really miss them already," Annie said softly. "Me too," said Jack. He sat down in the shallow water. "I'm really tired," he said. Annie sat beside him. "Me too," she said. The warm water lapped around their shorts and T-shirts. Jack pulled off his pack and he took out his glass and put them on. They were blurry with water. "Guess what?" Annie said. "What?" said Jack. "I saw the shark when we were swimming," Annie said. "But I didn't tell you. I wanted you to stay calm." Jack stared at her and said, "I saw it too. I just swam faster so you would swim faster." "And I swam faster so you would swim faster," said Annie. "I guess we swam double fast then," Jack said. He shook his head with wonder. "What now?" said Annie. "We go home," said Jack. "But we haven't solved Morgan's riddle yet." Jack sighed. He pulled his notebook out of his backpack, and it was soaked. He pulled out the ocean book, and it was soaked too. "We've failed," he said. "My research is all wet. We'll never be able to be master librarians now." But Jack put everything away. "Let's go," he said sadly. He stood up, and then he stared across the pink reef to the treehouse, and Annie followed him. "Ouch," said Annie. "What's wrong?" She looked at Jack. "I stepped on something." Annie bent down to rub her foot. "What?" Jack said. "A shell?" "Yeah, this." She picked up a very large gray shell. Boy, it was rough and gray as a rock. "The plain as plain can be," whispered Jack as they found the answer. The shell looked like a clam shell, only bigger with more ridges. How could this ugly shell be the answer to the riddle? What about the part that says, "There's great beauty in me"? "Wait. Research," said Jack. He opened the soaked ocean book. The pages were stuck together, but he was able to turn a few. He found a picture of a gray shell, and he read, "Divers search for oysters in deep water, but sometimes oysters wash up on reefs or beaches. Inside some oysters you can find a pearl. The pearl's natural beauty makes it a treasure." I didn't know. It's very good. "It must have a pearl inside it," said Jack. Annie peered into the crack between the two halves of the shell. "I can't see anything," she said. "How does a pearl get in there anyway?" Jack read aloud from the wet page. "Sometimes a grain of sand will get between the oyster shell and its skin. This irritates the oyster, so it makes a pearly material to surround the grain of the sand. In this way, over a few years, the pearl is formed." "I can't tell you if there's a pearl in there or not," said Annie. "Maybe we should bang it against a rock," said Jack. "But that would really irritate the oyster," said Annie. "Yeah. Maybe we should just leave it alone," said Annie. She gently put the oyster back into water. "But now we will know if the oyster is in right answer to our riddle," said Jack. "Morgan said we'll know," said Annie. "Come on." Jack pushed his glasses into place, and then he and Annie picked up their shoes and socks. They climbed through the window of the treehouse. Morgan's scroll was lying on the floor, and it was open. "Look," said Annie. She and Jack stared at the scroll, and the riddle had faded away. In its place was one shimmering silver word, oyster. "Morgan's magic," whispered Annie. Jack let out a huge sigh. "We got it right," he said. "And there's the Pennsylvania book," said Annie. "Let's go home." She opened the book and pointed to a picture of the Frog Creek words. "I wish we would go here," she said. The wind started to blow, the treehouse started to spin, and the wind blew harder and harder. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Wow. Looks like they found their answer. Boy, that's exciting. Well, I just want to tell you that we miss you here. Can't wait to see you guys. And you know what? Keep listening to your parents. It's important. Another thing, keep on reading. It won't hurt you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.